Hi, and welcome to another episode of the Self Storage Insight Podcast. I'm Ben Shirey. I'm your host today. And today I'm joined by Joe. Joe with Maximum Storage from Davenport, Iowa area. And Joe, thank you so much for being on the show with me today. If you don't mind, give us a little bit of a backstory on yourself and how you got into the storage industry.
Sounds good, Ben. Glad to be here. I've been in the storage business for about 12 or 13 years now. I came from I was into rentals for a while after I kind of got out of a career and I wanted to be my own boss, and I love real estate. I got into residential rentals, duplexes, houses, sixplexes, and it was great. And I'd always had this itch in the back of my mind. I wanted to try storage, and probably for 20 years I talked about it and never did anything. Looked at them, drove by them, even was a customer of one for a while. And then about 12 or 13 years ago, I had a horse facility that I owned. It was about 12 acres, and there was four big buildings on it. The people quit renting from me and the place was run down pretty good. I had owned it for about 7 or 8 years. And I just decided I'm going to start converting these buildings to storage units. And
Okay,
it was kind
interesting.
of a unique situation. The horse stalls were such that I could break those down and put doors in. And it just kind of fit to where I could create storage units, large ones, smaller ones, and then some
Okay,
group areas.
very interesting. So as far as converting that facility, about how long did that take for you to do?
It took me about 2 years. And ironically, as I converted each building, it was full. It just automatically was full about as fast as I could get it done. And
Okay.
that's when the bell went off in my head. Maybe I should get more serious about storage and get less serious about residential rentals.
Right. Okay. Very interesting. Yeah, that's a kind of a unique way to get started out with it, but that's awesome. So if you can remember back to a few years ago, then when you were just getting started out, was there a specific pain point as far as starting in the industry that you kind of remember, or something that you'd like to try to avoid if you had ever, if you're ever going to start out again?
I mean, the biggest thing was just making the move. It really wasn't a pain point. It was more of a self-confidence or initiating yourself to jump over that hurdle. I mean, like I said, I waited 10, 20 years off and on to do it. Finally, when I made the move, it was one of the best steps I've ever made, because then the light bulb went off. I need to do more of this. And I went on a prowl to try to acquire a few storage facilities.
Oh, very interesting. So how many facilities do you currently have right now?
We have six facilities in the Iowa Quad Cities. So Davenport, Iowa, Bettendorf, Iowa, that comprises the Iowa Quad Cities, and then Eldridge is on the north edge. So my six facilities fit right into that market.
Okay. And out of those six facilities, how many of them did you build versus buy that were already established?
The horse facility that converted, that was my first build, I guess. And then I bought four facilities. And then 2 to 3 years ago, right during COVID, I acquired some dirt and I designed a facility and built that. So my first and my last are the ones I created.
Okay, interesting. As far as the buying phase of that, is there any insight that you have on if somebody's looking to buy a facility, with buying your first one or your fourth one, did you learn anything throughout those processes that makes it easier to purchase them as you get more and more of them?
Well, yeah, you're going to look at a facility and you're going to see how well run is it, how old or new is it, how tired is it, if you will. In other words, does it need some deferred maintenance? And you're going to look at all those things and factor that into what you can afford to pay for it.
Right.
What are their current rent rates and et cetera, to see how they fit in the market, how are they marketing themselves. And then you just kind of have to use your gut. At the end of the day, you have to use your gut. Can I make this better? Can I make it work? Can I improve it? And if you find there's
Right.
opportunities, which usually there are, then you go for it.
Okay. Very interesting. Yeah, good insight. So you said that your last one that you had built, when I had spoke to you the other day, you had mentioned that you built a premium facility. Do you mind
Yeah, I kind of
speaking on that a little bit as far as what made you go that direction versus and what makes it a premium facility, maybe for our listeners?
Yeah, since I'd already had 5 experiences in storage, and they're all unique, just like people. Every storage facility probably has unique characteristics. No two are exactly alike. I just took the things I learned. Obviously, security is a big thing in storage. That's a big thing we owe our clients. how well we can secure it. You know, how nice is the facility, the size of the units, the mix, the layout, the ease to get in and out. There's lots of factors. I took all of those things and I created a facility that I consider premium. Every unit, whether it's the largest or the smallest, has LED lighting. When the door goes up, lights go on. When the door shuts, lights go off. Every
Okay.
unit has electricity. You have to monitor it, but I have the ability to measure use. But some people need it for certain things.
Mhm.
Every unit has a door operator. There are no padlocks on this facility. I felt that was really important in the eyes of security. When a unwanted person that's, you know, opportunistic looking at your client's doors comes on, they're going to be a little confused. It's not like Fort Knox where nothing is impermeable, but I really feel going this method is solid. Plus, we have a lot of clients that maybe they are physically challenged or elderly, or they just like the idea that their doors can operate a different way than the good old hang a padlock, pull it up and down. And
Right.
we felt that these were all things we wanted to put into our facility and make it something different.
Okay. Now, if you don't mind speaking to the end of maybe the rent prices, what do you get out of a premium facility per foot versus a normal roll up doors with a padlock type of a facility?
I don't really think in a per foot basis, but I can give you a comparison. A 10 by 20 in my market's about $100 a month. A 10 by 20 at my premium facility is 140.
Okay.
You might not be able to get a 40% adjustment on everything, but it runs about 30 plus percent higher on average on all units.
Okay. Interesting. And so then with building that new facility versus, acquiring a facility that already had some form of occupancy, as far as I don't know what percentages they were at, obviously, when you bought them, but did you have a lot of trouble filling the new facility that was just built, or did you have to do any type of marketing to get those units filled?
No, crazy enough, I didn't do any marketing other than I picked an awesome location. That was the other thing that I did when I built it. I picked a premium location. I had to pay up for the dirt, but I knew it would work. It's on an interchange of a 4-lane. It happens to be right next to a sheriff's depot, which doesn't hurt to have a neighbor like that.
Right.
So the strategy was picking a good location. But ironically, there's 8 buildings in the facility. And as I got each building completed, I filled it.
Okay.
I completed it in November and I was full in November. I was full all
Oh,
winter.
wow.
And so it was insane how well it was received. I know the storage industry is pretty robust in the Midwest right now, so I feel that my timing, I just happened to hit it just right.
Right. Yeah, and that's very interesting that it would fill up that fast. I mean, I know in my area, I'm in a pretty rural area, and there's been a lot more facilities popping up, even in the rural areas. As far as we get into Pittsburgh. I live about 2 hours east of Pittsburgh, and so you get out, Pittsburgh, Philadelphia, and you see these 5 or 6 story facilities are going in now. Everything's climate controlled and big indoor spaces. Where my area is more, single story buildings and more traditionally drive through or drive around type of parking areas and stuff like that. So it's very interesting, the landscape and how different it is based on the location or your geographical location of where you're looking at a storage facility.
Yeah, I think if you pick a prime location like this Blackhawk Trail storage happened to be, that was a key ticket. I did turn on my online presence or my search engine optimization. I turned that all on in September, and it ensured that I had a rush all the way to being full. And now we're 10 months, 9 months later, and we're still running 99+% full. What little
Wow.
turnover we have, we're always have a waiting list. So it's pretty special. It feels good. And that's the way it is around here pretty much for everybody right now.
Right. Yeah, it's definitely a very profitable market. And as far as, being able to get units filled right now, it still seems like it's pretty quick as far as filling up new facilities and keeping that tenant occupancy rates pretty high. So yeah, very, very
Yeah.
cool. If I can ask you this question, kind of, if I were a new investor or looking to get started in self-storage, into this, purchasing or building a storage facility, is there one piece of advice you would give me as far as starting out to where, you could possibly give, a little advice towards the end of getting started in this industry?
I think the biggest thing for me and my biggest piece of advice for anybody getting in is once you have a place either identified or you're acquiring a place, once you're in the game, so to speak, have an excellent online presence, have a great search engine partner that's going to help you get the phone to ring. Because if your phone rings, that's how you fill the facility. If you utilize technology, there's an angle there that helps you fill the facility as well. But to me, the number one thing is have a great online search engine partner.
Okay. And as far as your search engine partner, do you want to mention any names, or who do you typically use, or anything like that?
I was cold called by dozens of them years back,
Right.
and about 5, 6 years ago, I picked BizIQ out of Phoenix, Arizona. They're down in
Okay.
the Phoenix market, and they've been a great partner for me. I actually started a second campaign with them on my new Blackhawk Trail facility, and my phone rings every day, so I know they do a good job.
Awesome. Yeah, that takes a lot of stress off of the mind, I'm sure, as well, with building a new facility, getting it filled up that quick, and having people calling about facility or about units. So that's awesome.
Yeah, yeah, Ben, to be direct with you, I kind of utilize my success with them to gauge whether I should build a new facility in my market. I
Okay.
picked an area that was between facilities, and I used the fact that my phone rang and I could tell where the calls were coming from with my campaign with them, and that just assisted me with the decision to invest a lot of money
Right.
in a brand new facility.
Okay. Awesome. Any plans to build another facility in the near future, or not yet?
I would like to, but I'm gonna hold my breath a bit. Hopefully, I just want to make sure that if the market turns, I don't want to get too aggressive, too greedy. 6 facilities. I have 650 storage units. That's a lot of work for my wife and I, and I would
Right.
love to get higher number, but for now, I'm content.
Okay. And then as far as with your facilities, is it just you and your wife that run the facilities, or do you have any other help or any other management, anything like that in place?
Yeah, other than our search engine partner, I pay somebody to do snow removal, just like you guys face that in Pittsburgh. We
Mhm.
have that here, and I pay somebody to do the lawn care. But I'm there at every facility 2, 3, 4 times a week. Drive through, look at stuff, pick up debris, tidy up, pay
Right.
attention. I mean, that's a big thing you should do as a facility owner.
For sure.
Whether you're hands on or you pay somebody, you make sure that somebody pays attention. We don't have on-site management at any of our facilities. We just show up there randomly and we meet by appointment. That
Okay.
method works for in the Midwest for the size of our facilities, but you still got to pay attention to them. They don't run automatically, even though a lot of people think, oh, you get storage units, hang a padlock, get a customer, it's all automatic, collect the checks. There's a little bit more
Right.
to it than that.
Right. Awesome. Well, yeah, very good insight, and I appreciate you sharing that with us.
Okay.
One last question, I guess, before we kind of start to wrap it up here would be, have you had any horror stories or anything crazy that's happened that you'd like to share with the audience?
Well, I think everybody's probably faced somebody thinking they can live in one or something crazy like that. But my
Yeah.
most unique one, I've had a couple of those incidents, but my most unique thing was I do have some outdoor spots for like campers and motorhomes at a couple of my facilities.
Okay.
And at Maximum Storage one time, this is about 3, 4 years ago, I had a client rent a camper spot from me way kind of in the back row. And then randomly on my cameras and some of my other clients would notice a lot of traffic, at different times and a lot of the times going to this camper. And lo and behold, they were dealing drugs out of it.
Oh,
Instead of
really?
doing it at their house or somewhere else, they had set up shop in my facility, which is
Right.
pretty genius if you think about it. Go somewhere where nobody's looking for this to happen. And once I
Right.
caught wind of it, I kind of took the unique approach of I went and got in their face. I caught them down there. I caught them being there, and I just got in their face and I said, basically, you've got 24 hours to get out of here, or I am going to tell authorities what I know. I'm either going to look the other way. I don't condone what you're doing, but I'm also not a judge and a jury. Just get out of here. And so they left and never heard
Oh,
from them
good.
again. And it just
Yeah.
made me realize people are creative and crazy.
Yeah, for sure. Very creative, but that's very interesting. Thank you for sharing that story with us, though. It's been really fun to talk to you. And yeah, anything that you'd like to add in before we kind of wrap up this episode? Anything that we didn't touch on, maybe that you thought of while we were talking?
I mean, the only other thing I would give people advice for also, if you're getting into the business, is you got to be able to collect money. Not everybody pays on time. Not everybody's prompt and if automatic, even if you set them up automatically, it doesn't always work. Just know that collecting is another part of the business that you either have to do or you just have to be willing to put effort into it. And we are fair with people, but we don't let them run over us or rule us. We just don't, we don't let the leash go real long before we deal with them.
Right. Unfortunately, it feels like collecting like that is part of every business. Pretty much no matter what business you get into, you get into those situations where you're trying to collect money from people that owe you money that didn't pay. So, but yeah, very good insight. And yeah, it was awesome to talk to you, Joe. I appreciate you being on the show with me today, sharing some of your stories and you know about your history with self-storage. And yeah, I think the listeners will get a lot out of it. So.
Yep. Thanks for having me, Ben. I appreciate it. I look forward to watching other podcasts as well. Thank you.
This podcast episode was brought to you by CC Storage. CC Storage is a property management software that helps you pass the fees of credit card processing onto your customers so you don't pay credit card processing fees ever again. If you enjoyed the podcast, there's a link below where you can fill out a form and be interviewed on the podcast with myself. If that interests you, please click the link below and we'll be in touch. We hope you enjoyed this podcast episode. Don't forget to check back next week for another interview with another self-storage property owner.